the vaccine policy by Luther Care is supposed to apparently be for everyone's safety. And so they've got something like 90% of everybody in the building is vaccinated, but yet they still think that everyone should be vaccinated.
I feel like I'm a leper, and I'm sure a lot of people that aren't vaccinated maybe think that way. That it's not right at all to segregate people into one area and another area because you're vaccinated or not vaccinated.
They've discriminated against people like my mom. And they're basically saying, okay, you can't do this and you can't do that. You can't go to all these places. We're going to quarantine you in your suite. We're going to deliver the food to your suite. You're not allowed to associate with anybody. My goodness, she's 90 years old. And this is the way they want to treat my mother.
I would rather die than be vaccinated because I've never had a vaccine in my life. I'm not going to start at my age.
It is well known that senior citizens are often the hardest hit by COVID-19. And I'm certain that the common phrase, if you don't comply with, insert policy here, you might kill grandma or somebody else's grandma, is still ringing in your ears.
Why should they take the vaccine? Maybe you'll be fine, or maybe you go home and kiss your grandmother and wind up killing your grandmother. Show some civic responsibility.
Well, over the last 2 months, I've been following the story of a Saskatoon grandma, 90-year-old Violet Kasper, a widow, a retired organic farmer, and a senior citizen with a very different view than the mainstream on how we are handling COVID-19. Violet recently chose not to disclose her vaccination status to her seniors' home, the village at Stonebridge, which is part of a much larger company called Luther Care. This has resulted in quite the back and forth of events since then. Violet's family stands behind her, and this includes her loving son, Nicholas Kasper. As a side note, Nicholas is a congregant of Grace Life Church, the church who stood up adamantly against government mandates in Alberta. Nicholas refuses to let anyone bully his dear mama and feels strongly that somebody needs to stand up for the forgotten seniors across our nation, being negatively affected by these policies, and who are often vulnerable and unable to stand up for themselves. He and Violet truly believe that this has gone too far. So they are holding the line and not accepting any compromise that cannot be proven by Luther Care to be scientifically and ethically sound. Now, I did try to reach out to Luther Care because, of course, Rebel always tries to get both sides of the story. However, my emails to both Gabe LaFond, the CEO of Luther Care, and also the worker directly involved with Violet's case were unfortunately not responded to. So let's hear Nicholas explain what has transpired over the last 2 months. Then I'll introduce you to the lovable Violet, who I had the pleasure of interviewing in her young grandson's home. If you want a David and Goliath story, take a listen. Luther Care may be big, but this grandma's spirit might just be bigger. This is one of those contentious topics that YouTube definitely won't let us talk about. How can you watch the full video? Head on down to the video description and choose one of the more free speech-inspired platforms we're on, including Rumble, Odyssey, or SuperU. Make sure you subscribe to us there so you don't miss a beat.